This is the last photograph ever taken of the Titanic, captured as it departed from the coast of Ireland on April 11, 1912, just 3 days before its tragic sinking. This is a photo of one of the last Tasmanian tigers, a carnivorous marsupial that was declared extinct in 1936. The last known specimen, named Benjamin, died in captivity at Hobart Zoo in Tasmania. Before the invention of radar, armies used these massive devices known as acoustic locators. They functioned like giant ears, using large cones to capture and amplify the distant sound of enemy aircraft engines. Created and played by talk show host Willard Scott for a local franchise, the original 1963 Ronald McDonald had a very different and somewhat bizarre appearance. His nose was a paper cup and he wore a food tray as a hat. This is Selma Burke, the woman who designed the portrait of Franklin Roosevelt that's still on the dime to this day. This image, a landmark in the history of photography, was captured by French biologist Louis Boutin in 1899. To achieve the photo, Boutin developed an underwater camera and a primitive but ingenious flash system that used an alcohol lamp and magnesium powder. After 13 long years of prohibition, the joy is palpable in this Chicago bar on December 5, 1933. The image captures the exact moment prohibition was repealed, and patrons, men and women alike, gathered to celebrate openly with toasts and smiles. This is Albert Wilson, the last surviving veteran of the American Civil War. He enlisted in the Union Army in 1864 as a young drummer boy and never saw combat. He died in 1956 at the age of 106. The USS Langley CV-1 was the United States Navy's first aircraft carrier. Originally a coal carrier, the USS Jupiter, she was converted in 1922 and nicknamed the Covered Wagon for her distinctive appearance. For first-class passengers, the Titanic offered a state-of-the-art fitness center by 1912 standards. The facility was fully equipped with equipment such as exercise bikes, weights, and punching bags. The gym also featured innovative equipment such as an electric camel and an electric horse. This is Stefan Bobrovsky, also known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. Stefan had a condition known as hypertrichosis, which caused hair to grow up to 8 inches long all over his body, including, of course, his face. Captured in 1925 by French photographer Marcel Flandrin during a flight over the Atlas Mountains in Morocco, it is considered the last known photograph of a Barbary lion in the wild. This subspecies, native to North Africa, was famous for its imposing size and the long, dark mane of its males. Captured on August 23, 1966, by NASA's unmanned Lunar Orbiter 1, this was the first photograph of Earth taken from lunar orbit. The probe's primary mission was to map landing sites for future Apollo missions, and the Earth photograph was not in the original plan. During the Battle of Britain during World War II, cows were painted with bright white paint to stop cars from hitting them during the nightly blackouts. Reaching a weight of 335 kilograms, Daniel Lambert became a celebrity in the early 19th century. He earned his living by charging people to visit him, but he insisted on maintaining his dignity, refusing to be paraded around like a freak. This is the only confirmed photograph of Vincent van Gogh as an adult, taken around 1873. At this time, he was not yet the artist we know, but rather a young employee of an art gallery in The Hague. The extreme rarity of this photo is due to a strict, long-standing ban on cameras inside the U.S. Supreme Court courtroom while it is in session. This image was captured surreptitiously in the 1930s. The Great San Francisco earthquake of 1906 was the deadliest earthquake in U.S. history, resulting in the deaths of over 3,000 people. In the aftermath of the disaster, you could literally see where the earth split along the San Andreas Fault. Weighing over 15 tons, this iron-nickel meteorite has a fascinating history on American soil. It was discovered in Oregon in 1902, but ownership of the rock ended up in court after the man who found it tried to claim it, even though it was on land that wasn't his. Originally from Oklahoma, Norma Smallwood was not only the first winner of Native American ancestry from the Cherokee Nation, but also the woman who transformed the Miss America title. She treated her reign as a business and was the first to profit massively from the crown, earning an estimated $100,000 in 1926. The 7th president, Andrew Jackson, at age 78, just months before his death. The image reflects the toll of a difficult life. He suffered from chronic pain, respiratory problems, and possibly lead poisoning, the result of 2 bullets he carried in his body for decades, remnants of duels. For over a century, climbing the Great Pyramid of Giza was an extremely popular tourist activity. Visitors from the Victorian era until the mid-20th century considered the climb the highlight of their trip to Egypt. By the late 1940s, the White House was literally falling apart. Years of poorly planned renovations, the addition of a 3rd floor, and a lack of proper maintenance during the Great Depression and World War II had left the structure dangerously unstable. The final straw came when the leg of President Harry S. Truman's daughter's piano crashed through the 2nd floor floorboards. The image is deeply symbolic, showing the Capitol dome still under construction. Lincoln insisted that construction continue throughout the war, using it as a powerful metaphor that, like the building, the Union itself was being tested but would be completed and made whole again. Herman was one of many ship's cats who served on ships during World War II. His official role as expert rat catcher was vital. He protected food supplies and ropes from rodents, preventing disease and damage. Though iconic, the log cabin now displayed as Abraham Lincoln's birthplace is not the original, which was dismantled long before. The current structure is a symbolic cabin, built decades after Lincoln's birth. The former president and congressman. This photo, an 1843 daguerreotype, is the oldest surviving photographic record of a U.S. president. It captures John Quincy Adams not in his retirement, but during his remarkable and only post-presidential career. Ahmed Ali Kılıçdaroğlu was an Afro-Turkish aviator who served in the Ottoman armed forces. The grandson of a Nigerian woman brought to the Ottoman Empire, he graduated as a military pilot in 1916. This photo was taken in the workshop in Paris, France, where the Statue of Liberty was built in the 1880s under the direction of sculptor Frederick August Bartholdi. It is widely believed that the statue's face was modeled after the sculptor's own mother, Charlotte Bartholdi. The Collier family was emigrating to the United States on the Titanic in search of a new life. During the sinking, the father, Harvey, put his wife Charlotte and daughter Marjorie in a lifeboat, but he himself did not survive. Edward Llewellyn's catch was a legendary feat. The fish was a giant grouper Stereolepis gigas that weighed an impressive 192 kilograms, 425 pounds, and reportedly took nearly 2 hours of fighting to catch. Before the invention of motorized pickup trucks with protective cabins, picking up balls on a driving range was a high-risk job. In the early decades of the 20th century, workers were required to wear these heavy armored suits. The Golden Gate Bridge's 50th anniversary celebration on May 24, 1987, was planned as a festive walk, but the crowd that turned out was much larger than expected. Some 300,000 people squeezed into the bridge span at the same time, creating an unprecedented wait. In 1921, Times Square was at the height of its first Great Gilded Age. Nicknamed the Great White Way, the area was the epicenter of culture and entertainment, illuminated by a dazzling sea of neon signs and electric lights from theaters, luxury hotels, and restaurants. This concept, which emerged in several 19th-century patents, was an early attempt to create a fireproof suit. The idea was for a hose to connect directly to the suit, distributing water through a network of internal tubes to constantly drench the firefighter and, theoretically, protect him from extreme heat. Lillian Todd was a self-taught inventor working at the U.S. Patent Office when she fell in love with aviation in the early 20th century. With no formal engineering training, she studied the designs of the Wright brothers and other pioneers. On September 6, 1870, Louisa Enswain, a 70-year-old housewife in Laramie, Wyoming Territory, left her home early in the morning with a bucket to buy yeast. On the way, she passed a polling station and spontaneously decided to exercise her newfound right. Developed in 1917 by American Dr. Guy Otis Brewster, this armor was an attempt to protect World War I soldiers from machine gun fire. And it was surprisingly effective. The 40-pound 18 kg suit, made of chrome nickel steel, was capable of withstanding rifle fire. Jack was the assistant to James Jumperwide, a signalman who had lost both his legs in a work accident in South Africa. Wide trained Jack to perform his duties, and the baboon learned to operate the complex levers that changed the tracks, responding correctly to the driver's various whistles. The Statue of Liberty was entirely constructed in Paris, France, between 1876 and 1884, as a gift from the French people to the United States. The internal steel structure, which functions as a skeleton, was designed by Gustave Eiffel, the same engineer who built the Eiffel Tower, while the exterior design was the work of sculptor Frederick August Bartholdi. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.